Hey people, Sleepy Reader here for an old-fashioned Wednesday haul video. I haven't been making it to my store on Wednesdays most weeks lately, but today I did, so I have a little bit of spare time before dinner, so I thought I'd show you what I got. I also thought I'd show you some, I guess they're all hardbacks that I've gotten in the past month. I didn't get any new hardbacks today, but I've gotten quite a few in the past month. I seem to be both a hardback collector and a floppy collector. So yeah, good for the economy. So I think this is the last one of the Batman Prelude to the Wedding, and all the covers are interconnected. And my shop accidentally gave me the first issue, and I actually really loved it. And I've loved all of them since, although I think I'm halfway through last week's one so far. But Tim Seeley's really been knocking it out of the park, making little short vignettes within the larger context of all these people getting ready for the wedding of Batman and Catwoman. I'm a little upset at how many people know about it, especially since supposedly just Batman and Catwoman are getting married, but not Selina Kyle and Bruce Wayne. And my other thought is, with all this build-up, I've heard rumors that maybe they won't actually get married, and if that's the case, boy, will I feel kind of jerked around. Although I shouldn't complain, because I've really enjoyed all these Prelude to the Wedding books. I haven't enjoyed the recent Batman books so much, with the Joker in that cathedral, although they had great art. Let's see. Okay, and this is one of the comics that I have not been keeping up with, so I must have like 5 or 6 or 7 or 8 Hal Jordan and the Green Lantern Corps comics to read. When will I find time? I got to sit down and catch up with certain things. I'm pretty caught up with The Thing and Human Torch, Marvel 2-in-1. I've really been enjoying, although I have misplaced the annual that came out a week or 2 ago, so I still need to read that, but I assume I can read this issue without having read the annual. This cover is pretty amazing. So yeah, so far Chip Zdarsky's really been proving himself at last a writer that I'm interested in. Exo Man of War has been really cool. I've been keeping up with this. I think this is part 2 or part 3 of a series that's kind of a historical flashback. So it's almost like a historical swashbuckling adventure more than a little bit Conan, I guess, as Ghost Critic pointed out. But it seems to be following both Arik and another character that I assume he's going to meet up with. So that's been fun to read. Still on these fantastic cardboardish covers that I love. Oh, and I noticed, that reminded me that I noticed on this Marvel 2-in-1, the cover feels way more matte and less glossy than I'm used to comic book covers feeling lately. So I don't know what's going on there, or if that's just this one issue. The inside paper feels glossier to me than the cover. Saga. A while ago I noticed that Saga's on slightly lighter paper, the cover stock, but still an awesome book. Did the price finally go up? It's still $2.99. So very few $2.99 books left. And I think we're about to see a big shrinkage in that from DC. We've already seen some shrinkage, but so far the Terrifics are still $2.99, and that's helping me keep on some of these New Age of Heroes books. I have not liked the New Challengers so far, and the Terrifics has been just okay. I'm willing to give it space because it's $2.99 and because it's Jeff Lemire. The artists keep changing, but I guess we got at least one more issue with Doc Shaner, but I know there's some other artists coming up soon. Man of Steel I've been enjoying, but withholding a little bit of myself from it, because it's so clearly going to be such a long story, and I don't know. For Superman, I really like some shorter stories. Well, the art looks pretty interesting. Who's it by? They've been, Hughes. You don't see Adam Hughes art, especially on superheroes, outside of covers for quite a while. So that's kind of interesting. I kind of I bought his first issue of Betty and Veronica and found his art a little hard to take, actually, when it wasn't on a cover. Maybe it was a little too a little too precious. I don't know. It was very Norman Osborn. Norman Rockwell. It was very Norman Rockwell-ish. Speaking of Norman Rockwell, well, no, not really at all. Kill or Be Killed, the final issue. I'm so sad. This character, well, I don't want to spoil it, but so it seemed like last issue should be the last issue. So what's going to happen here? I'm curious. And then I've seen previews online. They're going to this creative team is going to do a graphic novel, I think, about junkies in love, or someone who's in love with a junkie. And so I assume it's also a crime novel. And then they say there's some other ongoing series, or, you know, limited, some series coming out in floppies sometime after that. I think Ed Brubaker has a lot of Hollywood stuff on his plate, so I'm really praying that doesn't keep him from continuing at least one ongoing comic. Is that spy comic of his still going? The one about the woman, I can't remember her name, not Friday, but anyway, I have the trade. I have some trades of that, which I really liked, but I haven't kept track of if it's still ongoing. Guilty Sin, or Guilty Stupidity, Hellblazer. I decided to stick it out. It's written by Tim Seeley, and I thought the writing is okay. The art is so horrible. Still the same horrible art I see. But I thought I'd stick it out for the story arc because I was kind of curious of where it was going. But the art has just been bothering more and more with each issue, and I think there's, to be concluded, one more issue to go. So it was turned out to be kind of a long arc, maybe 6 or 7 issues. I had hoped originally it would be like 3 issues when I decided to stick with it. I'll definitely, I thought I heard someone on some video say it's about to be canceled anyway, but if it's not canceled, I'm dropping it after this story. I just can't take that art. And then I got Image Comics. I see they're advertising a new Chelsea Kane comic on here, which I probably won't get. Hopefully she won't be attacked on Twitter and videos for doing this comic. You don't have to buy it, just ignore it. I don't know, I might get it. But something called Man-Eaters doesn't really interest me on the face value. I hope whatever this is, has nice art. Okay, am I still recording? My phone just told me my battery was low. Ooh, look at that. So anyway, I enjoy getting Image. So the Image preview thing, although I have a ton of Image books, like the one I just mentioned by Ed Brubaker, that I just wait for and trade and eventually read. Speaking of trades, but I don't think any Image, a few weeks ago, or whenever it first hit the stands, I went ahead and bought Dark Knight's Metal. Have I already shown this in another video? No, I'm not sure. I might have. I can't remember when I last did seems like 3 or 4 weeks ago I did a Wednesday comic book haul. The art looks really cool. There is gutter loss, even though this is a deluxe hardback. But I still like to have it in hardback, and I don't think I'm not gonna, if there's an absolute edition or something like that, I'm not gonna wait for that. And I probably don't want to spend that kind of money on this particular series. So, and I didn't want to spend the single issue money on it, but to get it in a slightly oversized hardback for less money than I would have paid for it in the floppies, that seems great to me. Mostly for the Greg Capullo art, I think. I got Inside Mobius Part 2, and then there'll be a Part 3. And each volume actually has 2 parts in it, so this is really, Part 3 and Part 4. I've read Part 1 so far, and it feels like kind of someone's idea notebook, scribbles. I mean, it is a continuity story, but it's extremely loose. Often doesn't have much in the way of backgrounds or detail. So it just feels like someone sketching quickly with their Bic pen. I mean, I feel almost, I probably can't draw this well, but I almost feel like I could have drawn this myself. Although here's some pages where it gets a bit more unlikely that I could have drawn it. But still, I'm enjoying it, but it's kind of, it's Moebius ephemera, and all they've, in this new Moebius library, all they've really published is Adina, and then an art book about Adina, and now this thing. And this thing would be much more valuable to someone who's read all the other sort of more chunky, meaty Moebius work. So I'm a bit surprised at the order that they're publishing things. Although on the other hand, it's exciting because I think this has never appeared in English before. So I'm still definitely getting it all, but I'm not recommending it to anybody but the most fanatical Moebius type person. You may have listened to our podcast, me and Matt's podcast, Never Stay Dead, where we talked about the X-Men Grand Design, which is like a history of the X-Men done in an indie comic book style, which turned out to be much better than I thought it would be. And that led me to crave to read back issues of the X-Men. And I have quite a few in floppies, but kind of scattered from throughout the late 70s and 80s. So I just thought it would be nice to just have it all in one place in an omnibus. So I got the first volume omnibus of what we now think of as the Chris Claremont X-Men, even though it started with Len Wein. And I have volume number 2 coming in the mail, so I should probably get that pretty soon. And then of these of this past month's hardbacks, the piece de resistance for me is The Art of Jim Starlin, A Life in Words and Pictures. And it really is a wonderful combination of a little bit of career autobiography and a lot of art reproduced. So there's a section on each sort of phase of his career where he comments on things and gives a little bit of his spin on how events happened. Although there's certainly plenty of personal details that he skips over. Or exactly why. Then it became clear to me I couldn't work at Marvel anymore, but he doesn't usually say why. Or then it became clear to me I couldn't work at DC anymore. In one point he does say why with DC. He said something in an interview they didn't like. Which surprised me that would be enough. He said, according to him, they never talked it out with him and asked, why'd you say it? And he said he was a bit misquoted and all of that. So, I don't know. It's if you're a Jim Starlin fan, this is an awesome volume. Very high quality production and everything. And for me, I really love the combination of a little bit of career autobiography combined with just tons and tons of art. So I'm going to be getting a lot of Jim Starlin because I've also backed something on Kickstarter. That's another art book by him. And I pre-ordered an artist edition. I think is it going to be of his Captain Marvel work at Marvel or his Warlock work at Marvel? I can't remember which. Either one will be great. And I'm not sure when that comes out. But, so yeah, I've really enjoyed pouring through this. Maybe I'll make a more dedicated video about it if I happen to have time, and can figure out how to set up my camera. I'm not sure how to set up a camera to look at bigger size books. This one isn't as huge as some of the other books I have, but it's pretty big. Let's see. Let's compare it to a comic book size. There's a typical DC comic right now, and that's the size of the hardback. So anyway, thanks for joining me. Never Stay Dead, the podcast, will be back. More videos from me. Hopefully it just depends on when there's a free moment like this where I won't be bothering anyone by making a video. Talk to y'all later. Bye-bye.